Cherish. I'm the Chief of Staff at Ocean Bottle. Ocean Bottle is an impact company which is very much founded on the basis of wanting to have an outsized impact. We give 15% of our revenue to impact causes, and we do that through selling physical products, mainly the bottle that we've become famous for. And we also have a digital proposition that allows other companies to add plastic collection to whatever they do, be it other e-commerce sales, other products, tickets, refills. Some people add it to projects, whatever you like. So the whole kind of ethos is around making sure that we can enable the most impact on ocean health that we can. I learned to drive in a tractor. I grew up on a farm, so that's not very strange there, but it's quite a shock to some people when they learn. I didn't learn to drive in a car. I've had a variety of roles before becoming a chief of staff. Mainly, I worked in a startup before. I also worked at PwC. I did client-facing work from a strategy side and operations side. I did a small stint in risk and regulatory. I also worked internally, so I was on the PwC's executive board strategy team. So that was the team that directly supported the executive board to set the strategy for PwC. And through those roles, you get a really kind of broad skill set, exposure. You're not really necessarily an expert in everything, and I loved that breadth. I kind of didn't want to lose that. The chief of staff role means you have to be across everything, and so that breadth is literally baked into the role. That was the most attractive part of it. There's no typical day. I'm sure you get that answer a lot. I would say there's probably not a day that passes where I'm not looking at the commercials of the business, kind of, the daily operations. It's how are our sales doing this month, this week? If we've launched a new product, how's that doing compared to others? I work closely with our head of growth. There's nearly always a kind of, we've not come across this before, or something's gone a bit wrong, because it's a 4-year-old business. There's still a lot that, when you're trying to pedal really, really hard, things can kind of slip, and it's my job often to pick that up. So a bit of firefighting. Our team has grown for probably 5 people since I've been there, and that's less than a year. I'm nearly always looking at some part of recruitment as well, be it interviewing or scoping out new roles and making sure that they're kind of fit for our next kind of 3-5 years. You just need to be able to have so many different things going at the same time, and your head manages to somehow keep up with all of them. I mean, I'm literally looking at a pre-Glastonbury to-do list that's got 30 items on it at the moment. And I've tried to kick some of them out, and they just keep boomeranging back to my list. So I'd say that ability to manage lots of things, prioritise ruthlessly. Is this really needed? Not just is it needed this week, is it needed today, but is it needed this quarter? Is it needed ever? Because, there's always going to be another opportunity. And if that's an amazing opportunity and you don't have that ability to kind of assess it really quickly and pivot if you need to, then you're not getting the best out of the role. You're not getting the best out of what you can for the company. So yeah, I would say ability to kind of juggle lots of things, prioritize them ruthlessly, but communicate really, really clearly. You're often the person that if they can't get, it needs the CEO's attention. And in the case of Ocean Bottle, we have 2 CEOs. If no one can get to Will or Nick, they might come to myself, they might come to the COO, but you have to be able to manage, a lot of people's expectations and empathise with the fact that it's difficult in a startup often. There's lots of, I've never done this before. There's lots of, we've never seen this before. And so that's something that you need to kind of communicate with empathy through what can be challenging, but also celebrate when there is something to celebrate. I would say if you're aspiring and you're kind of about to potentially go into that role, especially if it's similarly to Ocean Bottle, it's not a company that's particularly old. We're sort of sub 10 years old, perhaps. One of the things I wish that I'd done more of at the beginning was asked, why was that decision made that way? Who made that decision? In what context was that decision made? Because you often likely to be a kind of a chief of staff type, which is very much a doer. Again, if you're juggling lots of things, you want to quickly understand things, quickly start doing, learn by doing, which is, what I would advise is learn by doing. But if you can ask why things were set up that way, why was that decision made, who made that decision, you start to kind of unpick the fabric of how things work rather than just what is working right now or how it works right now. As an example, sometimes you'll ask, why was that decision made? Because it seems completely nuts. And it might be that you do have a much better way of doing it. And people will thank you that you asked that question, and you'll provide them with something that saves time, saves effort, it's easier, whatever. But it might be that there's a blocker, there's a reason, there's something we're having to work around in quite an awkward way. There's a blind spot to you. That's very helpful to understand because you will run into that blind spot somewhere else later down the line. So yeah, I would say ask how that decision was made, why and by who, as much as you can.